Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. Give us a few minutes. People are still streaming into the webinar. So give us a few minutes. We'll be starting shortly. In the meantime, you can be indicating your introductions in the chat section, just who you are, where you're joining from, and which organization you're from. We have a small poll that we are running before we start the webinar. So those who are in can please start answering those questions. So the first one is already on your screen. Do you measure fuel consumption in kilometers per liter? That's an important metric because a lot of people measure it in various other ways, in costs, which changes because the price of fuel keeps on changing. So the only constant metric that we recommend is fuel kilometers per liter. So for your vehicle, for your fleet, do you have that metric showing consumption in kilometers per liter? Right. 10 more seconds before I close that first question. I'm seeing half of us have responded. Right. Let me share the results. So most people have voted yes. Let me go to the second question. This one is in Kenya shillings. Unfortunately, maybe I should have put a different currency because I'm seeing there are some people from other countries. But basically, what's your monthly fuel expenditure for your fleet? Is it below 100,000? 100,000 would be what? About $8,000 or thereabout? 70? Is it over 100,000, over a million Kenya shillings, or over 2 million Kenya shillings? Where are you right now? Okay, so I'll be closing that in the next 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. So yeah, we are seeing the results. And then the last question, if you track all the expenditure in your fleet, what percentage is fuel expense compared to the overall maintenance expenditure? Is it 0 to 20%, 21 to 40, 41 to 60, 60 to 80? Even if you don't have a clear metric, you have an estimate of what this would be. All right. Looks like majority of people are in, there's an equal split between 21 to 40 and 41 to 60. There is even a few who are at 60 to 80%. Wow, wow. Okay. Interesting. Quite interesting. All right, so I think I'll go ahead and introduce the webinar even as we are waiting for Dixon. Okay, in the meantime, I'll make Hassan to start for us as we are waiting for Dixon. Hassan, can you hear me? Hello, Hassan.
Yes, Mr. Alex, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Okay, yeah, no problem. We'll start with you first before we go to Dixon. So I think let me just introduce the webinar formally. So my name is Alex Monene from the Advanced Mobility Center in Nairobi, Kenya. And we are running this webinar to help fleet operators reduce their fuel costs. One thing I can assure is that by the end of this webinar, you'll have an arsenal of tools to help you in your journey to managing the biggest biggest expense in your fleet, which is fuel. And also it is one which is most prone to theft as compared to any other asset. You cannot asset mark fuel. It is highly liquid, convertible to cash. So it is a very, and highly marketable. So that what makes fuel a particular risk for your fleet. A lot of fleet operators are losing fuel through, poor use of the vehicle, through siphoning, and through other, schemes that are being run probably by your operations team, your drivers, and the fuel station people. So those are the gaps that we are trying to address. And this being just a 1 hour webinar with the 4 panelists, we might not be able to cover something. So we are assuming that you have a fleet on the ground. So we will not be covering things like vehicle selection, engine size, managing loading, acquiring a telematics system, route optimization. All those are probably to be covered in a different forum. We'll just be seeing what is it that you can do with the fleet that you have right now. Because one of the ways of reducing fuel consumption could even be taking an electric vehicle, but that's a capex item. That's addition which could be beyond the fleet manager, the transport manager. So we shall go straight into the discussion. Each panelist has just about 10 minutes to give us some insights on how they can help us manage fuel. So as we proceed, please be putting your questions in the chat, and then we shall have a Q&A for all the panelists at the end of the session. So welcome so much, Hassan. Please introduce yourself and start sharing your screen.
Thanks a lot, Alex, for having me in this exciting webinar. My name is Hassan. I'm the co-founder of OnSpace Technologies. I head the engineering and product team. So today I'll just present what OnSpace can offer you as a technological solution.
Okay, maybe you can increase your volume. We can't hear you quite well.
Can you hear me now, Alex?
Yes. And you can start sharing your screen.
All right, let me just quickly go to the screen. Let me know if you can see my presentation.
Yeah, great. I can see it. Please proceed.
Awesome. So, like I said, my name is Hassan. I'm the co-founder of OnSpace. I head the engineering team and the product team. So in this presentation, I'm going to show you how to use OnSpace as a digital software to collect data from your field drivers and manage all your fuel management process. All right. So in this presentation, I'll go through the 6 items. I'll talk about the problem, what OnSpace is, OnSpace solution, and comparison with other solutions, and the benefits you'll get from OnSpace, and basically, and the last one will be our pricing. All right. So starting with the problem, we all know if you have a fleet, probably you may lack what we call this fuel card system. You'll end up being pushed to a manual process, which this manual process could lead to some inaccuracy in collecting information regarding fuel consumption, creating these loopholes, what Alex said, for theft, and even if the organization does have this fuel card system, what they can offer, which OnSpace can offer, is to be able to capture pictures and geo coordinates at the point of fuel consumption place, in this case, in a gas station. Right? So what OnSpace is a solution that quickly turns any kind of physical or forms or manual processes, and you can quickly build your own digital solution using our mobile and web applications for ease of data collection, analysis in some advanced reporting, so you can be able to see visibly what's going on with your fleet. All right. So let me just quickly show you. So OnSpace is built both for mobile and web. Mobile is basically used for field work. If you're in the field and you want to record, for instance, fuel consumption, in this case, drivers can use this to be able to report every time they go to a gas station and they purchase fuel, they'll fill in the necessary information. So in this scenario, you can see the home screen here. When the driver signs in, and if the driver's been invited in forms, so these are digital forms, you can see in this example, I'm invited in 2 forms. So vehicle registration, where it becomes a master list, where you can register all your fleet of vehicles, and fuel consumption will be the daily kind of form that drivers will be filling in when they're at the gas station, right? The second screen just shows you in a chart kind of window where once a driver fills in a form by clicking this icon down here, and the data will be kind of presented in a well-structured way. And you can also keep communication within the same screen, where you can keep communication regarding fuel consumption, where you can chat with your team. So in this case, you can see this fuel consumption tracker form has 22 members, right? So if, let's say, I'm at the station and I want to record that I've purchased a fuel my car, I will click this icon down here and it will take me to this digital form where I can select now my vehicle from the master list that come from this form, and I can enter my odometer reading, and automatically here it will pick the last odometer reading if I fueled the car before, and I'll enter then the number of liters that I've fueled. Then automatically it will calculate for you the kilometer covered, which is the odometer reading minus the last odometer reading, right? Then again, after that, there is a formula behind this calculation field as well, which now it will calculate for you the fuel consumption in kilometers per liter in regards to this particular fuel consumption. The driver also can tap in to pin the geolocation where it's actually fueling, so as you can verify that as well. And you can also capture pictures, like the driver can take the odometer reading at the point of fuel, right? And as well, they can also upload a pump picture to ensure that when they say that a fuel 11.5 liters, you can actually verify that with a picture. In this scenario, pictures can only be taken by the camera, not upload from a gallery, just to ensure that the picture is taken is actually at that particular time, right? So this mobile app run on both iOS and Android. So if now we move to the management team who are sitting at the office, the data will be streamed in the dashboard, and you'll be able to access the forms as well and the data that is coming through this particular folder. So OnSpace arranges forms and reports under folders as a way to organize your work. In this screen, what we are seeing is a report that I created under fuel reports. All right. So I'll create a report called fuel consumption per vehicle, and here I will the data that is coming from the field in real time will be aggregated and presented to you per each vehicle, how many number of liters they've consumed in this particular period, let's say 1st of April to 9th today, and you'll be able to see even the kilometer covered, right? You can click the vehicle and drill down to see historically all the records that have been aggregated. Visualize the consumption of fuel per liter based on a model, right? In this case, Land Cruiser is consuming more than Hilux, right? And as well, you can create this metrics where you can visualize the particular kind of data point, right? Alex, I don't know if you can still hear me. Please just let me know before I proceed. Hello?
Yes, please proceed.
Excellent. All right. So let's say probably you do lack a fuel card system out there, and you're probably, we will assume, which we have seen number of organizations do, is they will use combination of WhatsApp groups and Excel sheets, right? Where drivers at the fuel point, they will share the information through WhatsApp. One of the guys or one of the colleagues at the office in the management team will be able to extract that data and present it or organize it well in an Excel sheet. And this can cause this kind of challenge of verifying accuracy of that data from the driver. And the manual entry errors can come in when transferring data from WhatsApp to an Excel sheet, right? The other way is probably you could use things like Google Forms and AppSheet, and they do have this kind of challenge. These are, you can build your own solution just like OnSpace, but they have this limited kind of field types. OnSpace works offline, which Google Forms doesn't, right? It also lacks limited linking capabilities, which I explained to you previously, where you have vehicle registration master list, where you can link it now to any other form like fuel consumption, where you can get all the list of vehicles. If you know tools like AppSheet, they're complex to set up because you need to have understanding in regards to how it's set up, and it's price sensitive, so they charge per user. Even with Google Forms, they do actually enforce people to have Gmail accounts. Here in our case, you don't need to have Gmail accounts, but up to a certain extent, they also charge in regards to storage. Like you see it, where you can take pictures in our app, you can upload even documents, and we don't charge you in regards to storage, right? So the other approach, you could go for off the shelf. If there are any other kind of specific fuel consumption solution out there, they could also become expensive when your team or your fleet grows. Ours is a fixed. We don't charge per vehicle, or we don't charge per user. We only give you a package where you go with that package and you'll be able. So the other approach people do is they may probably hire a software development house, which can take a lot of time and becomes expensive in regards to maintenance and ensuring that you get the right solution. With OnSpace, you can quickly set up the benefit of OnSpace. One of them is you get unlimited number of users. We don't charge you per user, all right? And it's very easy to set up and customize. Within few minutes, you'll be able to get that vehicle example and vehicle fuel consumption forms up and running, and the reports, all right? It's very easy to use, like we've seen in the mobile app for the drivers. It's like 3 clicks and they're done, all right? You can collect through multiple data points. We've shown you GPS coordinates, last entry, things like images. You can even conduct things like survey, do some advanced calculations, right, on the formulas. As well, we give you the capability at no cost of branding and white labeling, all right, on top of the technology, so you can feel the sense of ownership. It's very scalable and very affordable. It can work in different locations, and it's very smooth, right? On my last slide, it's regarding pricing. If you go to our website, you'll see, which we highly recommend when you're starting, you do a trial, but we do have this startup plan, which is $69.99 per month, all right? You can pay monthly, you can decide to pay annually, which will give you a discounted rate. For the audience in this webinar, we do have this, we give you this offer, special offer for the startup pack, where you get 30 days free trial and $50 a month with unlimited users, up to 10 forms and 3 reports, and up to 10,000 submissions of records per month, right? So if in case you need to learn more about OnSpace, or you want to get this package, please reach out to me. My contact details are on the screen. And the offer only lasts up to end of this month, but I'm more than happy to continue the conversation after this webinar. Thanks a lot, Alex.
Oh, Hassan, thank you so much. So basically, you're telling us, even if a fleet does not have a fuel card, they can start getting digitized reports and data, including pictures and GPS locations, at the click of a button.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, you could capture any data points, images, documents, receipt, anything that you want to capture. It's important. I know maybe you're at the fuel station and you really want to see that the receipt also aligns with the pump price and the number of liters, and so you can take a picture quickly and upload. And also, the odometer is key, so the driver will go to the odometer and take a picture and as well upload. It's critical to verify that the driver actually, the information they're sharing are accurate. Yeah. And the most important one also becomes the GPS coordinate. If the driver said, I fueled my vehicle in this particular station, it's in this particular area, you can actually verify, because
Okay, so it looks like we lost Hassan. So, but basically what we are seeing is a solution that helps to convert any physical form into a digital form without too much, software setup, heavy cost and things like that. And it's a limited number of users. So even if you have 1,000 or 5,000 vehicles, the cost is still the offer that is given us. So that's very interesting. If you have any question, put it on the chat. I'd like to welcome Dixon to explain to us about fuel management. So Dixon, if you can share your screen and unmute your microphone, Dixon, can you hear me?
Can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you now. You can proceed to share your screen.
My solution covers fuel savings that will result from reduced emissions. Solution is called Hunter Supertech. I'll explain to you how it works. The solution mainly addresses the problem of the unburned fuel that exists from vehicles that we put inside the fuel tank of the vehicles. There is no vehicle modification. It's a solid immersion device and comes in different sizes, 5 of them, so that they can fit on all hydrocarbon traction engines. That's any engine that is running of either petrol, diesel, or even natural gas. When you put it inside the fuel tank, the gadget uses motion to produce electromagnetic energy that weakens the bond between carbon and hydrogen in the fuel. When that is weakened, then more oxygen is able to attach itself to that molecule. And when the fuel now gets the engine to burn, it's able to burn better, burn more. And in that way, you're able to reduce your emissions by up to 80%. We've done tests with KEBS, and they were able to see 93 and 94% savings. But most people in average, we've gotten 80%. Because it's engine in chamber, that becomes fuel. The emissions you've cut is converted to fuel. Again, that comes to between 8 to 13% savings on your fuel. The other important element in the product is that it cleans up the inside of the engine. We call that chimney sweeper effect. So when that's swept off, whatever had been left unburnt in the engine, normally when you open the engine, you see what we call the sooty carbons. Yeah, the soot, that's swept out. And when that is swept out, the engine is able to reattain its original efficiency. So in case it had degraded over time, overuse, or there were a lot of unburnt PM matter that were left in the engine, then they are burnt or swept out. That way, then the engine becomes more powerful, becomes more efficient, and again, you can get more savings from that because you've cleaned up that. And from our test here in Kenya, we've gotten between 13 all the way to up to that 30% savings on fuel. So depending on the engine condition, the loops, we are able to get even a higher percentage. And that also helps reduce your maintenance in that, for example, when you open the engine, the plugs, the injectors, for example, in most of the diesel vehicles, you normally have that residue left. Because this gadget is able to sweep off that, then you're servicing towards things like injector nozzles reduces, and also plugs, you don't have to change them within the time interval that you give for the mileage. So that way, your costs are able to go down on maintenance. Besides that, we also have the engine emission standards, which you're able to comply. We also have the new 2024 air quality standards. Because the emissions are reduced, again, your vehicle becomes compliant depending on the level that it is right now. The gadget complies is made with European standards. That's normative 93/116. That's mainly deals with fuel savings and how you can measure fuel savings from calculations that are based on emission. I think I'll show you that standard in that slide. The way the gadget is installed is very, very simple. As you can see from this image, there is no electrical connection. There is no vehicle modification. And that's why with most of the vehicles, you don't have to seek even manufacturer's permission to install the gadget because there's nothing that we modify. Like I said, even electrical, it only uses motion, either the engine cranking when the vehicle is running or when the vehicle is in motion. That shaking makes the gadget works. As you can see, it's only installed at an angle of between 45, 55, so that you can maximize on motion all emissions. Secondly, as you can see, the motions are the ones that makes the gadget work. So no interference with your vehicle. And the result of what the gadget does is just to make the fuel more, it's like partial combustion, in that it allows it to take in more oxygen so that you can do the savings. That illustrates very well how the gadget works. The gadget has been tested through several standards in Europe. Those who are interested, we are able to share with you. Like I said, it's EC normative 116. I'll be able to share that. Here, we've been able to submit the same to the local testing centers. One is KEBS, the other one is Chief Engineer Mechanical in Kenya. We've taken that and it has been passed for use in the public and private vehicles in this country. Besides that, we've also taken it to SGS for testing. And now we've gotten good results. SGS subjected it to tests against the Air Quality Standard 2014 of Kenya. And with the gadget, with the engine efficiency plus reduction in emission, we are able to see that because we have a goal of attaining 32% reduction in our emission by 2030. And we know 58 to 60% of our emissions are coming from the transport sector. With the gadget, it can help the country achieve that. The gadget comes with 5-year warranty, plus it will work in the vehicle with one-off installation for 8 to 10 years. There are clients who have used the same for over 10 years. There are clients who have used for 11 years and they're still using the gadget. So it's 8 to 10 years, but then you have an extension. The way you are able to measure functionality is that you can use either smoke tester or a gas analysis machine. And with that, you are able to see the efficacy of the gadgets. This is the format, normative 93116. As you can see, it helps with calculation of fuel using whether it's fuel or diesel, petrol or diesel that you're testing. For fuel savings, you are able to calculate. So again, with the machine, you can calculate this. But again, like the first presenter has explained to us, in case you're using fuel management and you're able to calculate your consumption, we can use that as the baseline. Have the fuel consumption before using the fuel management system, like has been recommended with our first speaker. We carry out the installation and then you do volumetric testing after. So that way you are able to see the change in your fuel consumption, even using this formula. We've installed in several big companies here in Kenya, like you can see KPLC, KWS, KTDA, and we've gotten very good results. Some of these big ones have given us recommendations, which we'll be able to share with you for those who are interested. And what I can say is that we've covered the broad spectrum of vehicles that are available in Kenya. And that's, we've gotten very, very positive results. And that's what we are encouraged for those who have attended this webinar. Like the first speaker said, we also have a special offer, 10% of our prices for those who would like to join or test or carry out POCs within their fleet. Those are welcome. Like I mentioned, we have several certifications here in Kenya and outside the country. Here, as you can see, this is the Ministry of Transport Infrastructure, the Chief Engineer. We tested the gadget and we're able to get very positive results. We also have, these are from outside, the certificate from Italy. We also have KEBS and also SGS. These are the bodies that have been able to test the gadgets in Kenya. The gadget is in use in over 47 countries, and most of these countries we've gotten certification. So that's also information that we can share. Like I said, we have several references in the country. Right now, we are running up to over 30 references with all different vehicle ranges. Important among them is we have a county that is installing in their vehicles, as well as public and public vehicles that are applied within the Nakuru County. This is mainly for the sake of establishing their carbon footprints and seeing how much they can save for what is happening in our country. We have that campaign on climate change mitigation and intervention, and the gadget helps with that. That's one of the reasons why Nakuru County has tested and one of the leaders in that. We also have KPLC. As you can see from KPLC, their savings was between, from here, 7.9 to 19.4%, which has been very, very impressive. Their bills lands to, the fuel bills lands to almost a billion. So if you calculate 7.9 or even 19% of that, you can see it's something substantial. For KWS, we had very good successes. As you can see, we tested on among their oldest vehicles, and the savings was very impressive, minimum of 20. And you can see we had very old bus where we were able to get 28%. This one from Kenya Tea Development Authority, the savings was 13% and emission reduction of 65%. So it's been impressive. We welcome as many to come and test our solution so that they can see what we can offer. Here, %, and we also have references to that effect. Like we said, we offering 10% reduction on our normal prices on this webinar. Those who contact us to start from now for the next 30 days and using this, who can contact us through this, we are willing to offer 10% on the prices that we have at the moment. In a nutshell, that's what we offer, and that's what we've been able to do. Thank you very much, and I'll be able to answer your questions later. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dixon, for that interesting discussion on the conversion optimizer. I will confirm I am a user. I was very skeptical at first because having been in the motor industry for a long time and not heard about it, I was wondering what this is. But I've tested it on my vehicle and I realized an improvement of 10% immediately on installation, and I don't even do so much mileage. So I can only imagine for someone who has a fleet and someone who has long mileage, what that difference would be. So you find the repayment would easily be as short as 3 to 6 months per vehicle. So thanks so much, Dixon. We would like to invite our next panelist. We'll move to the next presenter, who was Arthur. Okay, thank you so much, Arthur. I can see you. You can unmute your microphone and start sharing your screen.
Hello and greetings, everyone. My name is Arthur Komu. I'm a mobility technical trainer with the Advanced Mobility, and I'm glad to be presenting in this discussion, in this webinar, so that we can learn together and grow in this space. Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this discussion.
Then keep it short. We are really running behind time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's noted. So, eco driving. When we talk about eco driving, and this is what is revolving around our discussion today is the saving of fuel. And one of the things that I can assure you is that it's not a unique issue that we are dealing with. It's global. And as you can see, the graph that shows us the rise of the fuel prices is from 2010 to 2023. We can see the trajectory is going up. And with this being the case, every fleet owner or every manager who is taking care of a fleet is looking to keep these prices low. And as we saw from the beginning of this webinar, when we had the questions of how much it's costing us to run the fleet, the fuel cost, we saw that to even some extent it's going up to 80% of the running cost of the fleet. And we all know that driver is a key component, or is an integral part of keeping the fuel consumption low. And now, when we talk about eco driving, we are looking to save the fuel, we are looking to save the environment. And while we are at it, we end up saving lives, because when we take that habit of being economical drivers, we will see in the slides and in the presentation that we end up becoming even safer drivers. So when we talk about the reduction of the saving of the environment, we see that we reduce carbon emissions, and we also have situations where there is incentives for greening the operations of an organization. So that gives us a good reason to keep our fuel consumption low, and to keep the cost and the running of fleet in manageable space. So eco driving basically aims to increase vehicle mileage, that is kilometers per liter of fuel, and to reduce harmful emissions from the tailpipe, to reduce noise pollution, reduce accidents, and keep the environment safe for us and for posterity as well. In the driving space, we'll see that running a fleet, there are 4 aspects of ecological driving, where we have vehicle specifications. This is the vehicle that we are running, which many of us don't have much say on. You know, in an organization, whatever vehicles we are given, that's what we operate with, as well as journey management. Mainly, those 2 are aspects that we will see that managers or drivers will not have much say on. But there are 2 aspects that are very, very critical, and that lie squarely on the driver's actions or lack of them. That is driving style and maintenance. When we look at driving style, we will see that the driving style will determine the consumption of fuel and all the everything else that goes with it. But it's a big component of how the graph will look at the end of the day. And also there is the vehicle maintenance, where the driver will be required to take care of pressure, make sure that maintenance is timely, make sure that the car is well lubed, and all these sorts of keeping vehicle in good working condition. So when the vehicle is running smooth, the fuel consumption is, of course, basically gonna be low, because the vehicle engine will not be strained. The next aspect you're going to look at is the driving style. When we talk about driving style, one thing we will know is that when we accelerate, it means we are consuming energy, and when we brake, it means we are wasting energy. So what we are looking to do as drivers, or as a training organization, is train drivers to be aware of their accelerating and their braking, to keep the driving smooth, and this will result to efficient consumption of fuel and many more other savings that we will see as we proceed. So the basics of eco driving, we have many points that we would look at, but now for the sake of time, we will just rush through. We'll see that we need to shed extra weights or unnecessary weights in the vehicle. We will see that we need to...
You can rush through, because we will share the slide.
All right. Oh, yeah,
Yes,
sure.
yes, we are really behind time.
Yeah, so these you'll be able to look at and see, and there's much more when we go to the training itself, and even there's a practical aspect of the training that we'll be able to touch on this. So the recommended driving style is the green zone. So what this tells us is we see the smoothness of the driving. From the beginning, we are told to accelerate gently, you know, like depress the gas or the accelerator up to 50% or as low as it's reasonable. Maintain a steady speed. So when the vehicle moves, it gets to attain a certain, it will naturally attain a speed, and it will generally attain, it will peak speed naturally, and we require to maintain that speed, not to over accelerate or not to push it so much so that it increases the revolutions, the RPMs. That is where we end up with wastages. We anticipate traffic. When we look ahead, we think ahead, and we are able to act accordingly, not needing to fluctuate our driving and having sort of a driving that's called yo-yo driving, accelerating and harsh accelerating and harsh braking. So we avoid high speed as well. We keep at a speed that keeps our revolutions or our engine running RPMs low. And when we get to a braking point where we need to slow down, we do not basically hit on the brake or slam on the brakes, but we let the engine braking work for us so that we can save as much as possible. So moving on, we see we have green zone, we have red zone. So what we are trying to achieve here is to keep on the green zone. This means we are moving, and we are moving quite fast, and but we are not overspending on our fuel when we over accelerate and we harshly brake. So we will share also this, and we'll be able to look at it. But one of the things that we cannot overemphasize is the need to keep an eye on the fuel management, because if we do not, naturally our drivers, or even us as drivers, we tend to look for ways to save for ways to make an extra earning. So this leads to freewheeling. We have seen this happen a lot. And when we freewheel, most of the time what drivers will think is that they are saving fuel. And what they're saving, whatever saving they make, they tend to want to reward themselves. So they end up siphoning the vehicle to get their own, their saving, and which leads to many, many other problems. And or whatever it is that they think they've saved by freewheeling, they want to use as a private mileage. And it doesn't add a benefit to the organization. And these are things that we need to keep an eye on. So we cannot be lax. We cannot fall back on looking at a best approach of managing our fuel consumption. Now we will look at the comparison of two vehicles, vehicle A and vehicle B. So currently in our market right now, we have a liter of diesel going for 190 Kenya shillings. And we are assuming here that in a month's time, our vehicle would have run 3,000 kilometers. So for vehicle A, we say that the driver puts in 11 kilometers per each liter they consume. And for vehicle B, we are looking at the driver putting in 10 kilometers for every liter that they consume. So it might not look as if it's a big difference, but when you extrapolate it, you will see that in the 3,000 kilometers that the vehicle has run through the month, driver A will have consumed 273 point something. So those we remove to make our math easier. And the vehicle B will have consumed 300 liters of fuel. So the difference of these two vehicles' consumption is 27 liters. So when we multiply that to each liter, the cost of the liter, we end up having 5,130 shillings as a consumption or as a saving between vehicle A and vehicle B. Now this saving, it might not look as big per se, but it doesn't only save on the fuel or the cost of the fuel. There's a lot more saving that goes into it, including brake pads, including shocks, including the suspension of the vehicle, including the servicing or the need to service the vehicle. So it is a big saving, whichever way you look at it. And when you again multiply it to the number of vehicles that you have in a fleet, it gives you a picture of how important this skill would be to train drivers and to bring them to a place where they get to understand the need for eco-driving and also building that culture. And so with the saving that comes with this, even if the driver is given an incentive out of the 5,000 that they have saved, if they are given an incentive, it will make them happy and will keep them, keeping the eye on the gauge and the revolutions, and always making sure that the vehicle is well serviced and moving smoothly. And this ends up being a huge saving for the organization. Thank you very much. And just to top this up with an offer, as Advanced Mobility, we are giving a 50% discount for every sign up that will come in this month of May after this webinar. So you could take advantage of that. We have fleet management courses, we have advanced driving, we have eco driving, we have e-mobility courses. You can reach out to us or engage us on our contacts that we have on the screen, and let's keep talking. Let's keep having this discussion. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alex.
Okay, thank you, Arthur, for that presentation. You can stop sharing your screen. And Nixon, I think you are ready now. Please proceed. Ladies and gentlemen, as Nixon is loading his presentation, we are responding to some questions on the Q&A. Our apologies that we are running out of time, but this is the last presentation. Shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. Nixon, you can unmute your microphone. Okay. Now select your slide. We can see your screen, but we can't see the presentation.
You can see my presentation now?
Okay, yeah, put it on slideshow and proceed as briefly as possible. Yeah, proceed now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex, for having me. My name is Nixon Masaku, working for TradeSetters Tires Limited. TradeSetters is a tire company, which we concentrate much on tire management, embracing the best practices in tire management. And you know what? As we have already agreed on this screen, fuel is the first item in the P&L of the transporter. And here comes the second item, which is tires. Now, the interesting bit, even as I begin this presentation, is tires has a lot to do with the fuel consumption of the vehicle. So the second item in your P&L will largely dictate your first item. And so hence the importance to embrace the best practices in tire management, where I speak from. Now, as I've said, is that tires play a very crucial role in vehicle performance and efficiency. And I'm ready with a presentation here to be able to show us the effect of tires to fuel consumption. Because of the constraint of time, I want to address one thing, which I call the tire rolling resistance. Now, the tire, as it carries a vehicle, so to speak, along the road, the tire has to move uninterrupted. It has to move with less resistance to move as possible, because if that doesn't happen, then you realize that the vehicle will really need to work hard, need to put in more energy to be able to move that vehicle whose tires don't want to move at all. And a good illustration is if you were to have a tire mounted onto a rim, but it doesn't have air pressure, it means that the tire will not want to move. So if you try to roll it yourself, you will find it wants to fall down. It doesn't want to move. It completely resists to move. So now that is a completely flat tire not fitted onto a vehicle, meaning there's no load, there's no weight on it. Now, you can imagine now you have the tire with less air and you want it to move the vehicle ahead. So it doesn't want to move. Now, if I'm addressing a vehicle, which is a 22-wheeler, a prime mover hooked into a trailer, and each tire has a level of resistance to move, you can imagine how much fuel, how much energy the vehicle will have to put in to make sure that it moves this vehicle ahead. So primarily, the tire will be able to affect the fuel consumption depending on how much resistance it's exerting to the vehicle. And that is why, as a fleet owner, as a transporter, we need to address this matter. Because anytime we are doing proper tire maintenance, we are actually saving fuel. You just need to address the tires, have the right tires moving, have the right patterns, have the right tire with less resistance, and your fuel will be largely fixed. So factors affecting rolling resistance of this tire will include, but not limited to, it will include, but not limited to, the tread design, the tread pattern of the tire, and also the tire pressure maintenance. Now, let me address very quickly the place of the tread design onto a motor vehicle while addressing tire rolling resistance. Now, the tread design of a tire, its work is really to enhance the ability of the tire to be able to transmit driving, that is a traction force, being able to hook the vehicle and move the hook the road and move the vehicle ahead. Also, braking forces. When you are braking your vehicle, you're actually speaking, so to speak, to the tires so that they can be able to stop the movement, and also to overcome the lateral forces, that is sideways forces of any vehicle in motion. While operating, it has to do those three things while operating on a wide variety of either highway, on the road, that is, or off the road surfaces. So that is the work of the tread design. Now, let's see how we relate it to the rolling resistance. Now, as you know, we have different tread designs in any vehicle configuration. And we must be able to choose the right tread so that we can be able to have a vehicle which easily moves, saving fuel as much as possible. One, if you are addressing a tire to fix on the steer, you must select the right pattern. Mainly, you will find they are almost right rib designs, which are there because what you require for the steer is just directional, offering direction of the vehicle where to move. You don't need traction there in the front. You can imagine. And then now on the drive of the vehicle, you need a tough, you need an aggressive design to be able to grip and be able to move the vehicle ahead. And then the trailing or the free rolling axles will also be more or less like the steer, because those axles are just following, just having the load on top, and then they're directed by the steer, and the motion is dictated by the diff. Now, a good example, without taking much of your time, is you can imagine a place where you buy or you are fitting a drive application tire onto the steer. The vehicle will refuse to go. It will have more rolling resistance because the tough and aggressive design is designed to grip, to offer traction, to move the vehicle. But now if you mix up the two, or maybe you put the drive on the steer or to the trailer, you will have the vehicle having a lot of or increased resistance, hence fuel consumption will go up, and also you will have abnormal tire wear. The tire will not last, it will give you low cost per kilometer, and will have trouble. Hence the need for the transporter to be able to digest these facts and be able to fit the tires correctly, especially where tread application is designed. Moving on swiftly, I want to address the matter concerning tire pressure. Very important. A proper or a good pressure maintenance, good ideal inflation pressure maintenance. If you embrace it, then it means you'll be able to minimize the rolling resistance of the vehicle, among many other benefits. But because we are addressing fuel consumption, pressure maintenance will really have a positive impact on fuel consumption. As I began saying, an underinflated tire doesn't want to move. If it doesn't want to move, the vehicle will work hard to be able to move that tire, and that is more fuel consumption. So again, you'll get better tire performance, you'll get improved cost per kilometer, and of course, you will experience a better or improved fuel economy of the tire. And I've just given an hypothetical measurement where if you have like 5 PSI underinflated tire, you stand to lose 2% of the fuel mileage, just by underinflating the tire by 5 PSI alone. A good example is a trailer tire, which is supposed to take in 120 PSI. You just underinflate it to 115, and then you lose so much in terms of fuel mileage. Now, that 5%, you may not even see it. The tire looks okay, but really, it is exerting a lot of resistance and hence high fuel consumption. How about I go to fleets and I take pressure measurement, and you find tires which are supposed to take 120 PSI will have 170, 60 even, they are there. So you can imagine the amount of fuel we are losing just by ignoring the tire. When it comes to matching of tires, let's talk about it. The two tires running together must be identical in all aspects, be it height of the tire, be it the construction of the tire, be it the type, whether tubeless or tube type, be it the pattern, the tread design of the tire. Now, I've just given only one example where you are having two tires fitted together, but they have different heights. Maybe the tread depth is further worn of one tire than the other. So once you have two different diameters, you find the shorter tire will always act as a brake onto the vehicle, because every time the bigger tire flexes and the smaller tire touches the ground, it scrubs. It doesn't rotate. It just scrubs the road. That is scrubbing. Now that scrubbing is a brake onto the vehicle. So you are kind of stopping the vehicle. Now, if this is only one position, a trailer has how many positions? 6 on the trailer and maybe 6 also on the prime mover, whereby 4 of them are dual positions. Now, if every dual position has a slight difference of tread depth or of height, then it means every position is exerting a brake onto the vehicle, a brake. And so the driver has to compensate that force by exerting or by accelerating further and affecting the fuel economy on the negative side. Now, that is about height of the tire. When it comes to mismatched duals in terms of pattern, now these patterns are different. There's a way each design is designed to interact with the road, surface. Now, they are not the same. And so you'll find the same scenario where we saw height happening also where you mismatch the patterns, where you're having increased rolling resistance, hence consuming more fuel. As I come to the close, we have axle and wheel alignment. You can imagine tires fitted onto the vehicle, but they're facing different direction from where the vehicle is supposed to be moving. And so the driver will keep on correcting as the vehicle is veering for the road. So the driver will have to keep steering back and scrubbing on the road, excessive fuel consumption and stuff like that. So the vehicle has to work hard really to be able to move, because the tires are facing outside or inside of the vehicle. Hence, axle and wheel alignment is one of the most important practices that we must practice as fleet owners. Number 1, to save your fuel. Number 2, to save your tires in terms of performance in kilometers. Number 3, you will also save in terms of maintenance cost of the vehicle, particularly suspension components, because they are not straining a lot, so they are not wearing faster. So, and the entire cost of running the fleet will really come down. Now, we are giving axle and wheel alignment a preventive approach, where we align all the vehicles in the fleet, all of them at once in a span of a week or 2, depending on availability of vehicles in your yard, because is a mobile, is an on-site practice, and also depending on the size of the fleet. And we will come back again to check and align in a span of 3 months or in a span of 15,000 to 20,000 kilometers. We align all the vehicles again, and that is when you begin to reap the real benefit of wheel and axle alignment. instead of just aligning the vehicle, which is pulling on one side, you've noticed one tire is having abnormal wear. That is a way of reacting, but we are giving it a more proactive approach, and that will benefit you as a transporter, a big deal. Now, tires are also graded in terms of the type of the tires. We have eco tires, economical tires, where it's made of hard rubber, so to speak, hard rubber, which will give you less resistance to move, though it also gives you slightly less grip onto the road, but gives you better fuel economy. And we have performance tires, which are soft. They are more elastic. They give you excellent grip on the road, but gives you poor fuel economy. Now, if you match the two, these in terms of eco and performance are rated from A to G. Now, it's been discovered that tires which are rated A to B are the best, and they give you the best benefit, reducing your fuel consumption between 7 to 10%. So it is important when you are buying tires, you also check what is the grading in terms of eco. Tire management, of course, as I said as I began, that when you embrace the best practice in tire management, meaning you are doing everything right. You're choosing right tires correctly. You are doing correct mounting and demounting of the tires. You're having the right sizes of the tires on the right vehicles and position. You're having the right tread designs, and you are training your drivers. You're doing inspections. You also are checking the tire failures in terms of scrap tires to be able to unearth what are the prevailing problems. Then it means that your tires will perform better with low cost per kilometer, and hence better fuel economy for your vehicles. And that's where we are. That is our strength as a company. We ask you to get in touch with us, and we will be able to come in and take over the entire tire management of your fleet as you concentrate on your core business as a transporter. A very big plus to have it on board. Now, so as I wind up, I wanted to give an offer for the month of May 2024. If you contact us and you bring your vehicles for alignment, or you call us, we'll come wherever you are, and we'll, in every 10 axles aligned, we'll give you one for free. So we charge you 9 out of 10, and 1 will be your discount. And the best practice is when we do the entire fleet, so that you can get maximum benefit of your fleet. Otherwise, call us. My number is on the screen. Call us, and we'll be able to discuss on our way forward and how we can come in, not only for alignment, but also for entire fleet management in terms of tires. Otherwise, from me, thank you so very much for having me. It's been an exciting moment, and I'm happy really to have taken part in this presentation. Thank you, Alex, for having me, and thanks the rest of the team.
Wow. Thank you so much, Nixon, for that insightful presentation on tire management and how it affects fuel. So I think participants, ladies and gentlemen, we've gotten quite a dose of information and empowerment on some of the mitigations we can start implementing even from today or tomorrow on fuel management, which is the biggest cost. Right from the combustion optimizer, which helps us to get more energy from the fuel already in our tanks. That one is giving you anything between 10 to 20%, up to the OnSpace digital form, which by the way is not just used for fuel management, it can be used for any other operation in your fleet. That offer that OnSpace gave us has up to 10 forms. So you can have one form for tracking fuel, for doing inspections, for even checking tire pressures, because a lot of these things we have checklists, but we know once the vehicle leaves the depot, our operation area, we are not sure that the driver is carrying it out. And the only way you can be sure is to have a system. So OnSpace helps us with that. And then tire management, we've seen the importance of selection, positioning, maintenance, as far as fuel consumption is concerned, upwards of 7 to 10% just by tire selection, even before you go to the maintenance, especially under inflation. That's the most common problem that we find in fleets. And lastly, let's not forget the people pillar, that these vehicles are being driven by drivers. And if your country is like ours, most driving schools don't have any failure. So we have a very poor skill of drivers on our roads. And that's a key component. But even if you have the best equipment, if the driver is not able to optimize it to the best efficiency based on the driving style, which you've seen is the biggest aspect on maintenance and on fuel consumption, then we will not realize that saving. And we've seen the difference what 1 kilometer per liter makes. If you can get a saving of 5,000 shillings per vehicle per month, you have enough saving to finance other things, even to incentivize the driver so that they don't even have to siphon fuel. You just put them on a performance basis, and you can give them that as an incentive that they don't have to start looking for shortcuts to siphon fuel. So I think we've responded to most of the questions on the Q&A. If there's any others, you can send us on email. We shall respond to them. We will share all these presentations to your emails to all the registered participants. And we will also be sharing the link to the video. Once we download it, clean it up, we'll put it up on our YouTube page for all the parties here. And we really look forward to getting your feedback, your testimonials, whether you are able to improve your operations. Get in touch with us for the offers that you had for the month of May, that we will be able to assist you improve your fuel operations. And thanks so much for making time to attend. Our apologies, we are almost 20 minutes beyond the time we had promised, but yeah, we had some technical issues. Just an update, next month we shall be having another webinar by Advanced Mobility, and we shall be focusing on equipment for electrical mobility. So we are already carrying out electric mobility technical training and driver training as well. And from the previous trainings, people have expressed interest to grow their careers in electric mobility. So we shall be showcasing or presenting some of the equipment that is available in the market for you to enter the industry, either as an assembler, as an after-sales support, as a repairer of electric vehicles and the like. So with that summary, I think we will close the webinar. Big thank you, round of applause for our panelists, and thank you so much for attending the webinar today. Catch you at the next one. Thank you and bye-bye.